Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Nimisha Jadon from School of Studies Environmental Chemistry, Jivaji University, Gwalior. Today we are going to discuss about a module environmental monitoring, especially technical aspects under the paper of environmental analysis. The learning objective of this module including the various analytical techniques used for the analysis of environmental samples including non-dispersive infrared analyzer, conductivity meter, ultraviolet fluorescence method, chemiluminescence method, carbon monoxide laser method, then UV based nitric oxide analyzer, then a DO tester, that is dissolved oxygen tester, or the pH meter. Nowadays the awareness of the environment and the concern about the deteriorating environment is increasing the world over. It is necessary to monitor changes taking place in the quality of the environment for initiating efforts to control it. There are a large number of instruments required to accomplish the environmental pollution monitoring program. Now we discuss here about the air pollution monitoring instrument. Rapid industrialization and stability, increasing vehicular traffic on the road have generated an acute problem of air pollution. At places, gaseous and dust pollutants in the atmosphere reach such a magnitude that suitable measure to limit the emission of pollutants become imperative. One of the basic measure or to environmental quality measurement lies in the ability to continually monitor environmental characteristics and provide reliable, accurate, and automatically recorded data for timely interpolation. Here in this table, we are discussing about the various instrumental techniques used for the identification of ambient air pollutants. The gas like carbon monoxide is determined by infrared absorption and the gas chromatograph equipped with FID detector. Then the hydrocarbons are measured by the techniques ultraviolet absorption, gas chromatography equipped with flame ionization detector and mass spectrometry. Then the sulfur oxide is determined in the air by using the technique ultraviolet absorption, infrared absorption, gas chromatography equipped with FID, colorimetric method, conductimetric method, coulometric method, and the electrochemical transducers. Then the oxides of nitrogen are determined by the techniques colorimetric method, coulometric method, infrared spectroscopy, and the electrochemical transducers. And the oxidants in the atmosphere is measured by coulometric, colorimetric method, and the ultraviolet absorption method. The next important techniques used for the environmental sample analysis is the conductivity meter. The electricity is the flow of the electrons, and this is the basis of determining conductivity of a soil or the water sample. The conductivity meter gives the clue of presence of various types of cations or anions in any type of environmental sample. So the determination of conductivity prior to further advanced analysis necessary to identify or give an idea about the how much amount of ions, cations or the anions present in the sample. This indicates that ions in the solution will conduct the electricity, and the conductivity is the ability of a solution to pass the current. The conductivity reading of a sample will change with the temperature. A typical conductivity meter applies an alternating current that is denoted by I at an optimal frequency of the two active electrodes and measures the potential denoted by V. Both the current and the potential are used to calculate the conductance by I divided by V. The conductivity meter then use the conductance and the cell constant to display the conductivity reading. So the conductivity is equal to cell constant into conductance. Here we are discussing about the working of the conductivity meter. In this figure, the figure shows there is one current source that is from the reference potential sources, and the one is current measurement and another one is the potential measurement. As we place the two electrode at a definite distance in the solution, then the conductance, that is 1 by V, is measured when the ions is migrated from one electrode to the other electrode. Here one electrode is the working as a reference and other one is the working electrode. The measuring frequencies of a typical conductivity meter including 49 Hz in 4 microsiemens and 40 microsiemen range and 46.9 kilohertz in 400 millisiemens and 2 Siemens range. Now the next technique that we are going to discuss here about the ultraviolet fluorescence method. This method is based on the principle that when the sample containing sulfur dioxide molecules is irradiated with the ultraviolet, then the light of the applied radiation absorbed by the sample because they are containing the sulfur oxide in it. So on that principle, the sulfur dioxide emits the light of a different wavelength from the irradiated, and this is the basis of determining the concentration of sulfur dioxide by using ultraviolet fluorescence method. The former irradiated light referred to as excitation light and the later emitted light referred to as fluorescence. Here we are discussing about the ultraviolet fluorescence method. In this method, the beam of light from the UV source is passes through the beam splitter and the photodiode, which is transferred to the electronic processor and the phototubes, where phototubes are used as a detector in the ultraviolet fluorescence method. Here the whatever the compound is present is emitted the light because these are having a fluorescence nature, so they are emitted light diverted at the 90-degree to the phototubes where it is measured, and the reaction chamber, the oxides of sulfur that are present in the air react with the UV radiation and form the sulfur dioxide radical, which is again this radical is emitted the light which is measured by the phototubes. So by this technique we can identify the presence of sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere. This method is based on the principle that the sulfur dioxide molecule absorb the ultraviolet light and become excited at one wavelength. The intensity of fluorescence is proportional to the sulfur dioxide concentration, and the fluorescence sulfur dioxide analyzer consists of a hydrocarbon scrubber, fluorescence chamber, light source, and photoelectric detector. Now the third one technique is the hydrocarbon scrubber. The hydrocarbon scrubbers shall remove hydrocarbons contained in ambient air which are excited with a light and consequently emitted fluorescence. The sulfur dioxide molecules pass through the hydrocarbon scrubber unaffected.
The fluorescence chamber shall have a structure to efficiently emit the fluorescence of sulfur dioxide. Then the UV light source is the exciting light source shall generate light energy by an electric discharge and so on. Then the photoelectric detector shall be located adjacent to the fluorescence chamber via an optical filter which selectively passes the fluorescence to an electrical signal of required level. Now we discuss here about the method of chemiluminescence. The chemiluminescence is the emission of light as the result of a chemical reaction. There may also be limited emission of heat. For example, if A is luminol and B is hydrogen peroxide in the presence of suitable catalyst, then we get equation that luminol react with hydrogen peroxide and generate a active molecule of APA. Then this active molecule again classified as 3-APA and emit the fluorescent light, where 3-APA is the 3-amino phthalate and 3-APA excited is the vibronic excited state where the fluorescing as it decayed to a lower energy level. The nitric oxide is a relatively unstable molecule which will oxidize to nitrogen dioxide especially in the presence of ozone. This reaction produces a quantity of light for each nitric oxide molecule which is reacted. This light can be measured using a photomultiplier tube or the solid state device. If the volumes of sample gas and excess ozone are carefully controlled, the light level in the reaction chamber is proportional to the concentration of nitric oxide in the gas sample. The chemiluminescence reaction of nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxide depicted by the equation that NO react with the ozone, that is nitric oxide react with ozone and converted into NO2 plus O2 and release some type of wavelength of light. The chemiluminescence technique may be used to measure total oxides of nitrogen by passing the sample over a heated catalyst to reduce all oxides of nitrogen to nitric oxide. This is done within the instrument just prior to the reaction chamber. Some instruments can perform the automatic switching of the catalyst in and out of the sample path so that the resulting signals may be compared to indirectly measure nitrogen dioxide. The variations of chemiluminescence have been used to perform measurement of ammonia. The reaction shows here is that ammonia react with the oxygen, convert in nitric oxide and water. Then the ammonia second reaction is that the 4NH3 plus 5O2 is equal to 4NO plus 6H2O. Then the reaction in presence of ozone, this 4NO react with 4 molecules of ozone and converted into a 4NO2 plus 4O2 and 4 part of the emitted radiation. Here this is the picture of diagrammatic representation of chemiluminescence instrument where in the reaction chamber sample and the ozone intermixed with each other and release the chemiluminescence radiation by this chamber is closed by the vacuum suction pump and the emitted radiation is measured by the photomultiplier tube attached with this chamber as a detector.
Now we discuss here about the carbon monoxide laser method. The first carbon monoxide lasers were built more than 50 years ago. The technology showed promise for several reasons. The first, that the carbon monoxide lasers are inherently efficient in terms of their conversion of input electric energy into light. For example, they are potentially about twice as efficient as more commonly used carbon dioxide lasers. Also, carbon monoxide lasers output in the 5 to 6 microgram spectral range, whereas the carbon dioxide lasers typically less at 10.6 micrometer. This shorter wavelength provide processing benefits in many applications.
The figure shows the carbon monoxide analyzer. In this figure, the laser light is passes through the energy attenuator to the beam homogenizer, where the beam of laser is homogenized, then transferred to the carbon monoxide container. Then the focus lens passes the laser gaze to the carbon monoxide gas, where the precision motion stages are changes, and the target illuminator observe the radiation of emitted radiation or the absorbed radiation by the carbon monoxide, which is identified as the concentration of carbon monoxide. The chemical dynamics of the carbon monoxide laser are different but equally complex. Vibrational excitation of carbon monoxide molecules takes place directly via electron impact from the same RF sources used to create the discharge plasma in a carbon dioxide laser. However, carbon monoxide lasers don't necessarily need nitrogen. Once vibrationally excited, carbon monoxide molecules can further excite other such molecules through vibrational transfer. The next is UV based nitric oxide analyzer. An UV absorption photometer for the measurement of nitric oxide is given below. It uses hollow cathode lamp which filled with nitrogen and oxygen at reduced pressure, where excited nitric oxide molecules are formed in electric discharge. The energy of the excited molecules is dissipated by emission of characteristics luminescence radiation. The source of radiation is selective and it produces an emission range which corresponds precisely to the absorption range of nitric oxide in the meaning cell. This is called a resonance absorption. One peculiarity of the radiation excited by electric discharge is that two groups of nitric oxide specific line are emitted, then measuring radiation cold emission lines, and this is the group absorbed by the nitric oxide to be determined the measuring cell. The reference radiation are the hot emission lines, that group of radiation showing line in the neighboring range and meeting the detector not influenced by nitric oxide. The radiation modulated by a chopper wheel which then passes through measuring cell via a condensing lens. It reaches the radiation detector, a photomultiplier, via an interference filter where the interfering radiation removed. Here this picture shows the UV based nitric oxide analyzer. In this figure, the air enter into the nitrogen dioxide analyzer, or the nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxidizer are enter into the another chamber which is again converted into the nitrogen dioxide, and identified by the nitrogen dioxide analyzer to measure the concentration of nitrogen dioxide, and the unconverted nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxide is transferred to the another chamber where the nitric oxide concentration will be measured by the UV absorption.
The next method that we are going to discuss here is the non-dispersive infrared analyzer. The non-dispersive infrared analyzer depends on the characteristic energy of the absorption of carbon monoxide molecule at the wavelength of 4.6 micron. The infrared energy is also absorbed by the other gases like carbon dioxide, water, sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide. This differentiation of carbon monoxide from such type of gases depends on the difference in energy absorbed. The devices use the modulation effect that occur with infrared absorption of sample gas itself when the sample gas and the reference gas are alternately sent to the measuring cell at a predominated flow rate. This is achieved by using a solenoid valve which is activated at a frequency of about 1 Hz. Unless the gas concentration of the measured compound is changed in the cell, the output from the detector essentially becomes zero. The radiation source is an infrared radiation emitter and the radiation is modulated by chopper which passes through a chamber containing the probe and a parallel chamber containing the reference gas. To reduce the influence of interfering gases, optical filters are used in this method and the content of the measurement cells receives periodically infrared radiation with different strength which result in different temperature and pressure effect.
The pressure effect are transferred to electrical signals by a sensors and this signal correlated to the measured carbon monoxide concentration. In this figure, it is shows the non-dispersive type of carbon monoxide analyzer where the IR source passes through the sample and the reference cell and the photomultiplier tubes detector are detected the absorbed IR radiation by the presence of carbon monoxide. Here we are discussing about the combined sulfur dioxide and nitric oxide analyzer. Fewer compounds absorb in the UV region than in the IR, it means infrared region. And the UV absorption pattern of a compound is not as distinctive or not as narrow as in its IR fingerprint. On the other hand, UV analyzers provide better selectivity in applications in which the sample contain air and humidity because these material do not absorb in the UV region. The UV analyzer are also more sensitive than IR detector. On an equal path length basis, the UV absorbance of liquids is stronger than that of vapors in proportion to their densities. The UV light from the deuterium source is projected through the gas measurement cavity inside the filter at the end of the probe. The retroreflector at the tip of the measurement cell return the measurement beam to a point at which a monochromator separates light into discrete spectral band. The monochromator has two exit slits, one for sulfur dioxide and other for nitrogen oxide. that allow their corresponding wavelengths to impinge on the detector. The measurement is compensated for source aging, line voltage variation, broadband absorption, dirt buildup on the option, and the optical misalignment. Small shutter in the monochromator moves back and forth between the NO and SO2 beam, providing sequential reading of both at 1 minute. Then the next one is the automated weight chemical air analysis. The weight chemical methods are the accepted means for obtaining data in the majority of environmental studies. In this, the sample is automatically introduced and prepared. The reagents are then added in proper quantities and sequence, and the chemical reaction will take place. The presence of particulate constituents is then detected, displayed, and recorded. In air analysis system, the equips must be capable of obtaining a prompt sample. This is essential in order to obtain correct result.
Now we discuss here about the water pollution monitoring instruments. The pollution of water sources can occur from a very large number of compounds which have varying degree of potential pollution. Their access to the water resources can adversely affect the quality of water and many renders if unsuitable for drinking purpose, industrial use, production of fish and aquatic foods, irrigation, and even transport through the waterways. Sometimes the constituents of industrial wastewater may present health hazard even in the present in the minute amounts.
Now here we are discussing about the various instrumental techniques used for the analysis of water pollutants. The number one is the dissolved oxygen. The term dissolved oxygen used to describe the amount of oxygen dissolved in a unit volume of water at a given temperature and a given atmospheric pressure. It is the measure of ability of water to sustain aquatic life. The instrument used for the analysis of dissolved oxygen is the galvanic cell method. In this method, the membrane has high permeability to oxygen and is constructed so that the electrodes and the electrolyte are isolated from the water being measured. The counter electrode is a base metal and the working electrode is a noble metal, and the potassium hydroxide is used as the electrolyte. The oxygen passes through the membrane and is reduced on the working electrode, and so the method measures the reduction current flowing between both electrodes, which is proportional to the concentration of dissolved oxygen. Here you have seen the picture of this galvanic cell method where the membrane of Teflon is used to pass the molecule of oxygen from the working electrode. Now the second one method is used as the polarographic method. The sensor construction is almost the same as that of the galvanic cell method. The counter electrode is silver chloride and the working electrode is gold or the platinum. When the voltage of 0.5 to zero point 0.8 volt is applied between both electrodes, the oxygen that has the permeated through the membrane initiates a reaction on the working electrode, causing a polarographic limiting current to flow, which is proportional to the oxygen concentration. This method measures the concentration of dissolved oxygen based on this current value. Here is the picture of polarographic cell of the same determination of dissolved oxygen. The next is the turbidimetry. The name being derived from the turbidity is the process of measuring the loss of intensity of transmitted light due to the scattering effect of the particle suspended in it. The light is passed through a filter, creating a light of known wavelength, which is then passed through a cuvette containing a solution. A photoelectric cell collects the light which passes through the cuvette. A measurement is then given for the amount of absorbed light. The turbidimetry and the nephelometry are two techniques based on the elastic scattering of radiation by a suspension of colloidal particles. In turbidimetry, the detector is placed in line with the source and the decrease in the radiation's transmitted power is measured. Here is the schematic diagram of the turbidimeter where the light passes through the light source through the monochromator, where the monochromator exhibits the extra scattering light and the only desired wavelength is passes through the cuvette with the suspended particles, and here is the some particles which are turbid in nature. They absorbs the light or the scattered the light with the particles, and this scattered light is measured by using the photomultiplier tube.
The next method of determining the pollution check of in the environmental sample is the pH meter. A pH meter is a scientific instrument that measures the hydrogen ion activity in water-based solution, indicating its acidity or alkalinity expressed as pH. The pH meter measures the difference in the electrical potential between a pH electrode and a reference electrode, and so the pH meter is sometimes referred to as potentiometric pH meter. The difference in electrical potential related to the acidity of pH of the solution.
Here this picture shows the schematic representation of the pH electrode. In this electrode there is a bulb at the bottom of this electrode. This is a glass bulb which is very sensitive glass membrane, and it is this bulb is immersed with the silver chloride electrode which is working as a reference electrode, and this electrode is filled with the solution of concentrated potassium chloride so that it is working as an electrolyte. As we immerse this pH meter into the water, at the surface of the glass membrane, the hydrogen ion and the sodium ion transported, and the double layer exists of the ion at the surface of this glass electrode, which is working as the sensitive electrode for the determination of pH in a given water sample. Here is the reference electrode which is prepared by the mercury chloride tip, and it is again filled with the KCl solution for the electrolyte system. So this pH electrode is highly sensitive to the concentration of hydrogen or the OH ion present in the water.
Now we discuss the principle of operation of pH meter. The pH meter measures the voltage between two electrodes and display the result converted into the corresponding pH value. They comprise a simple electronic amplifier and a pair of electrodes, or alternatively a combination electrode and some form of display calibrated in pH unit. It usually has a glass electrode and a reference electrode or a combination of electrode. The electrodes or probes are inserted into the solution to be tested. The reference electrode is insensitive to the pH of the solution, being composed of a metallic conductor which connects to the display. This conductor is immersed in an electrolyte solution, typically potassium chloride, which comes into contact with the test solution through a porous ceramic membrane. The display consists of a voltmeter which display voltage in unit of pH. So the pH again gives the clue of acidity or the alkalinity of the medium and gives an idea of the constituent of the pollutants in the water. Now at the end of this module, we can conclude it here that we have learned more about the other rarely used techniques for the environmental pollutants analysis. Here we are discussing about the non-dispersive infrared analyzer, their working and the instrumentation, then the conductivity meter, ultraviolet fluorescence method, chemiluminescence method, carbon monoxide laser method, UV based nitric oxide analyzer, then DO tester, pH meter, etc. for the analysis of environmental samples and the pollutants that are present either in air, water and soil. Thank you so much.